that's up, and swapping cameras when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, I'll just wait for a few people to join. As you see, I'm going to start off with an absolutely horrendous map. So don't forget to pop a hi or any questions in the comments, just so that we know you're here. And after the stream is finished, if you want to join the group, you can do. How are we doing?
1 at the moment.
Okay, it took a bit of a while to kick in last stream, didn't it? So
Yeah, that's right.
we'll wait for a minute.
Wait a couple of minutes and let people find us again, because we're on different. Aren't we?
Yep, this is only our second stream to the page. So you can see how non-sticky this mat is.
I have shared it out to the group as well, so that if you are in the group, we won't see your comments until
the end of the stream.
So we will answer any questions that are put in the group one as well. As soon as we.
Rolling my mat clean. So easy, there's absolutely no stick left to this mat whatsoever, except for where obviously the foil's caught it. So I do always say when you're foiling, and I'll show you my foiling mat in a bit, you are better to use a non-adhesive mat or a metal mat. And what I have is a scraper wrapped with a baby wipe, or in this case a tech wipe, because for some reason we don't seem to have any baby wipes here. So I'm missing from my demo kit. Now the important thing with your wipe is to make sure that it has no alcohol in it. And you're just going to scrape across the surface. You can start to see why I say don't get your foil on it, because it doesn't shift very easily. Now as you can hear, you go at it quite hard and it does get up a lot of muck. But don't be afraid to give it a good scrape. That's why when I do my baby wipe, I make sure it's got like 2 or 3 layers wrapped around that bleeding edge, because it is quite sharp and you could damage your mat if you didn't wrap something around it to do it. Especially when you go at it like I do.
Sorry about that. I'm just watching. Oh.
What?
It's alright. Screen's got a notification on it. Stupid woman's been calling you. There you go. Sorry about that, Sandra. We've just cleared it off the screen, so that should. There we go.
Oh, it's supposed to block no caller IDs. Oh, you had to take it off.
It silences it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had to take it off though, didn't you? Because, yeah. We'll have to put that back on again.
Yes. That's okay. So thank you for taking it off the screen.
Oh, believe me, if I had my way, it wouldn't have come up there in the first place. It's a pity it's on the page, otherwise I would name and shame. Tweezers. Yeah, and do a day, didn't we? I'll do a little. once you've done your baby wipe, it'll actually loosen off any bits of paper that you have stuck on, so that you can either get a scalpel, or in this case I'm going to use a spatula just to get behind it and lift it off. Thank you. Left-handed tweezer is showing off now.
Your mummy's here as well.
Hi, Mum. Okay. So you want to make sure that you get all the bits off. Now if you've cut over them, you can find they get a little bit stuck in the cut line, so that's okay. You can always go back over it with the scraper again. And you can start to see where it's lifting off all the debris from all the different cuts it's done. So this mat is a prime example of how not to treat your cut mat. So I'm just gonna And what you will find is eventually you will find places that lose their stick altogether. And I'm going to show you in a minute how to sort that out. But usually in most cases, once you've done the baby wipe trick, if you leave it to dry, it should come back. But this one's been well and truly used and abused. So I'm going to show you how to restick your mat. Now, some people will say, oh, you need to totally clean it off and restart from scratch. And in a perfect world, perhaps you might. But this world's definitely not perfect. So what I tend to do instead is touch up when need be. Or just do a thin layer over the top. So if you can see, if I can get that temperature, so you can see it's quite a used and abused mat. So you won't gain much by stripping it all. So instead, what I'm doing is I have a Zig glue pen. And I'm just applying a thin layer of the glue pen over the top. Now what you want to do, once you're sort of a couple of inches across, is just check to see how it's coating it. If you think like that you're not getting enough, just give it a little pump. And you want it so it looks a bit like soap bubbles when you're pumping it. So if I can get that so you can see it. But there. Will make funny noises. What you don't want to do at this point is make it so it's really, really thick, because otherwise you're going to have to leave it overnight to dry. So if you see people that say, oh, you need to do it downwards and then across and then wait for it to dry overnight, that's what they're doing. But you don't need it that thick, especially on your brother mat. It's slightly different with resticking an Artistix mat, because there's two ways that you can do it, and it depends on the state of your mat. So if I start to there's a little bit more on it, I think. Now, when it comes to staying in your edges, the only ones you really have to worry about are your side lines, so here and here, because of your rollers. So you can see there my glue pens inside. Oh, I'm going to do a bit of a splodge, but that's fine, because you can just spread it out. You can even go that way across it. Just remember, as I said, to make sure you stop clear of this line here. You can trace that. Look on the bottom. Just make sure we get all the bits there. You want to pay particular attention to the white spots, because wherever it's white, that means there's absolutely no adhesive in that area whatsoever. Any questions so far?
No, nothing at the minute. Okay, so that's how you restick your mat. And what you would do at this point is set it to one side while you carry on working in canvas or doing something else before you're ready to cut. So you want to leave it a good half an hour to an hour, because you want that to be completely clear before you try and use it. Stay. Okay, Artistix mats. These are slightly different rules, so I thought I would include one. With Artistix mats, you cannot use a baby wipe on them, else you will dissolve the adhesive that's already on there. So what we can use is a lint roller, and I'm just going to start a fresh piece, just because I don't want to transfer the damp paper to it. And take that bit off there as well. Okay, so just going to go over the top. Anything that you can't quite get to. God blimey, I can't even get my nails under that. So this one is still reasonably sticky, as I did a little thin layer of glue yesterday. I'm just going to apply a little bit more. So again, we can just do a light stroke, and I'm not worried about getting absolute perfect coverage, it's just to help it out a little bit because it's been cut on quite a few times. And when your mat's sort of getting into like 6 months or older, you'll definitely be wanting to do this with an Artistix. But you only need like the lightest stroke on it. Okay, so that's another mat done. And I'll put that one down there for now. Stay. So with our standard tap mat, you can see again this one is murky. So this is one of the older style mats, and this is probably my oldest mat. I think this was probably the original that came with the machine actually. So this one has been lots of zig glued over the years, but when I first started resticking my mats, I didn't have the chisel tip, I just had the squeeze and roll, which is perfectly fine to use as well. All you need to do is do like a slight little doodle in the places that you notice are starting to go. Not use this one anymore to cut, so it won't bring off much, but... So all I would do is just, once I've done that, set that aside to dry for half an hour as I'm going off and doing canvas or whatnot, and that'll be ready for me to cut. So let's say you do horror of horrors and you cut through your mat. What do you do? Well, first of all, hopefully you've kept the piece that you've cut out, in which case it's just a case of duct tape on the back. But if you have lost the piece, you can just do both sides of your mat, and so long as you're on a CM, you can load it from the other end. So if you do it across the top of your mat, with a DX, while you're learning, I would say start by cutting everything at the bottom, just in case. Okay, so that's one way that we can fix our mats. Try and do these so they don't stick to each other. Somebody asked me the other day about embossing mats and whether you need to buy the Brother embossing mat. It depends on what you're going to do. I did a line design emboss, so not just a score line, this is more like, so what I mean is if you're doing like a flower or something that's actually part of a design that you're embossing, you can use a couple pieces of cap foam, as I have here, and you want a reasonably tacky mat. The tackier the better, because you want to keep the foam on the sheet. And then you will fix your card with washi tape to the top of your foam. Okay. So if you have any questions about how I set up for that, ask them now. And I'll wait for a minute. Remember, you need to be in the page to be able to comment so we can see it in the live stream. Okay, no questions?
No questions, no.
Okay, I'll move on then. The next mat I have actually has no adhesive on it whatsoever. So you may think, what's the use of that? And this is the one I use for foiling with. So literally, I stick my work first down to my mat with some washi tape. So this could be a sheet that you're later going to cut out and use background scan to line if you want to. But ideally you want it to be larger than your actual design, so you'll stick it with some washi tape. Then on top of that you'll stick your foil and some more washi tape and then foil your design. But the benefit of this one is you're not going to end up with foil stuck to your mat. So it could be an old mat that you scraped all the adhesive off and just keep aside for foiling, or you could just buy a non-adhesive mat from Lee. I believe he still sells them. And likewise, when you're resticking your Artistix, I believe he does the adhesive sheets to go on top. Does he not anymore?
No, he stopped doing those.
Okay. Naughty natty.
No, we did say last time I spoke to him he stopped doing the adhesive sheets.
And finally, another separate mat to keep is a fabric mat with the sheet on top. In terms of this one, as opposed to getting the fabric mat from Artistix, I prefer the fabric mat from Artistix. This is actually classed as a consumable, so it will only last about 3 to 4 projects before you end up getting rid. So as you can see, it will quite happily lift off your cutting mat. Whereas your Artistix ones are actually a solid sticky surface, and it's much stickier than the Pro mats. So if you're doing faux leather, you want to use a fabric mat. But you can also use it for things like grey board. If you're struggling to get grey board to stay in place, a fabric mat may be a better option. Just when you come to take it off, turn it upside down and peel the mat off the card, and not the other way around, because you don't want to tear it. Ask me any other questions about the mats. I think I've got out all the ones that I keep for different purposes. I haven't said about the scan mat, but we did that the other day, so
The other day.
if anybody's missed the scan mat, let me know and I'll quickly show you. It's very quiet today.
It is. It's not bank holiday yet, is it?
No, that's Friday.
Friday and Monday, isn't it? Next
Yeah,
week,
Friday
yeah.
and Monday, yeah. We're still streaming, so I won't notice any difference.
No. No, I
No.
think you're all
Doesn't
good.
look like any questions, so given that I have a headache, I think I'm going to slink off and get this book finished because I just want it up there and done.
Yeah, so we're back tomorrow?
Yeah, back tomorrow at 11 with Ian doing
Something. Don't know.
something, yeah. Ian's forgotten the schedule already. And I'm not by anything to check. So, yeah, Ian will see you in the morning at 11. Don't forget, Peter's live at 4 doing card making and 8 doing mixed media. And join me for Barbara at 10. And we'll be doing some doodling.
Sandra said, have I missed the DX maintenance mat?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that one was the DX. But they're pretty much the same way that you treat that bit of it. The only difference is this strip here that changed between the two models. It's a good point to raise. Oh, that was the other one I was going to do.
Corners.
Corners. So, on your DX mats, I'll do the DX things first. Number 1, take out your blade when you're loading your mat, as well as any pen holder, because otherwise you can decorate your mat in this top corner, and I'll show you one that's decorated in a minute from the CMs. Secondly, once you've been using a mat for a while, if you rub your finger across this bit of your corner, you'll feel it starts to catch your finger like it's rough, and it's where your rollers actually burr the edge of your mat. So what you need to do, just grab a nail file, and I'll put the face down from
It is a known fault, isn't it? So
yeah, it's a known fault, so it's not like I'm teaching anything groundbreaking. You just do a quick sand along this leading edge, just to get rid of the extras.
can I use a baby wipe on an official DX mat?
No. Oh, an official DX mat, yes, because it's a rubber one. Yeah, the rule of thumb is, if it's a brother, yes, you can use a baby wipe. If it's an Artistix, no. And going back to CMs, and if you have problems with your mats not loading, or rather not being recognised, the thing to check is the dots. So you can see on this one I've got both ends, and but basically you want to check that your dots aren't dirty. If they are, or they're smudged, just get a bit of a rubbing alcohol and a cotton wool bud and just tidy it around the edges. So don't go over the top of them, just go around the edges.
Sandra says thank you very much.
That's okay.
Is that how you can call it a day?
I think that's probably it, unless anybody else has any questions. Oh, storage. I haven't covered storage.
You haven't?
Do you want to bring in a trouser hanger? Behind the door.
Let me show it to you. Oh,
Yeah.
Pick it up.
Yeah. Okay. So one way of storing your mats is a good old trouser hanger. So we only have our currently used mats on this one, don't we? Because otherwise you can't take the weight. So if you end up with a collection of mats, like I've got a collection of mats, and you'll want something a bit more robust. So what we used to do in our old studios, we actually had a double tiered desk so that we could slot the mats in between the two parts of the desk, and that kept it nice and flat, and also handy for the machine then.
Keep talking for a second, I'll find what I'm doing tomorrow.
Okay, I'll keep talking. Yeah. Just trying to see if there's any questions. Oh. That was it. Yeah, so Ian is doing single coloured vinyl tomorrow, so that's a perfect one for absolute beginners at vinyl. So you'll want something to attach the vinyl to, some adhesive vinyl
Transfer sheet.
on a transfer sheet. So any single colour of vinyl, yeah, or occasionally sticky back plastic will work.
I'll be using vinyl, so I'll be using the Artistix vinyl. So.
Yeah, you're not going to be brave and try the blue one there then.
No.
So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. Is Ian's going to take you through the basics of vinyl, and then what am I doing?
Yeah, so you're doing Affinity Designer Beginners.
Okay, so tomorrow afternoon I'm doing Affinity Designer for absolute beginners. So while I'm here, remember to go to Affinity and download the software. There is a link in the group, and you've got a 90-day free trial. Make the most of it.
That's half price.
Yeah, it is half price at the moment because they're doing a lot to help us designers with going through the tough times with CV. Because obviously a lot of our work has dried up. And they are doing a lot. They're doing more than others that could help. So they're worth supporting, and it's brilliant software anyway. So I will take you through that from start to finish. So I will see you at 2. And Ian will see you at 11. Bye for now.